Hey, what's up? It's PDX Guitar Freak, and in this video I'm going to show you how to play the guitar solo from Van Halen's Little Dreamer off their first album. Now, before we get started, it's important that you tune your guitar down 1/2 step. So E becomes E flat, A becomes A flat, D becomes D flat, etc. You know the drill. And with that, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Now, the first section, oftentimes I will see it tabbed with an open A note at the very beginning, which when I listen very carefully to the original solo, that may or may not be there. I don't think if you leave it out or leave it in, it's really going to make much of a difference. It does fit tonally with the F7 chord that comes right before the solo leading into it, but you can skip that A note if you want. But if you add it in, it goes like this. Slowly. Listen to the phrasing. You can hear where I speed it up a little bit. And then at normal speed. See how he goes through that pretty quickly? The next part. All right, here it is slowly. And one thing I want to call out here is you'll notice that when I do this part, well, you may have not noticed, but I'll tell you now, those 11th fret on the B string notes before you do the pull off, like, okay, you're not picking that first note on the 11th fret, you're hammering it on, okay, so all right, notice my right hand, I'm not picking that 11th fret note, I'm just hammering it on. All right. After that, now a lot of times when you do the 8th fret B and E at the same time, a lot of times I'll see it tabbed where you play those two notes twice. Okay, so now again, I've seen it tabbed that way many times, sometimes, you know, with both, you know, playing it twice and sometimes once. When I slow down the original and listen to it very carefully, it does sound like you're hearing that twice. I'm not sure if that's something Eddie did really quickly or if it was a result of his Echoplex. Either way, the way I play it, I don't hit it twice, I hit it once. And I've always got delay on when I'm playing Van Halen, a delay effect, so anyway, you could play it twice if you want. I think it sounds better when you don't play it twice, because if you're using a delay unit, then you're going to hear it repeat anyway. And then when you do you'll notice that when I do the 8th fret on the G string note, I barely dip the whammy bar down just a tiny bit, not even an 1/8 of a note even maybe. You don't have to do that. You can just play the 8th fret note and then pull off to the 5th. You don't have to use the whammy bar dip. But when I listen closely to the original, it sounds like I can hear a little bit of a fluctuation there, and maybe or maybe not it's the whammy bar, but to my ear that's what it sounds like. Eddie was almost like about to do it, and he said, no, I'm going to wait till the next note and then do the whammy bar dip. All right, moving to the next part. pretty straightforward. What you're doing is when you do that bend at the 13th fret, you bend up a full step and then a half a step further. Okay? So up a full step and then a half step. And you go up and down twice in that little half step increment and then a bend. Again, listen to the phrasing. All right, let's move to the next part. In the next part, he's got that quick open D and G. All right, before going. Okay. It's almost like he's pulling off. I've seen a tab where he's pulling off to the 8th fret of the B after the bends. Sometimes I do that, but you can leave that out, that 8th fret note out if you want. Okay, either way it's going to sound fine. And then he does that rake up, followed by slowly. And you'll see those last 3 notes, 4 notes. I'm sorry. He goes by pretty quick. He speeds up a little bit right there. Again, here's that section slowly. All right, let's move to the next part. And then, like one of the earlier licks where we did that, he's doing a similar type of pattern where he's bending up again at the 13th fret of the B, a full step and then another half step. So, all right. And then after he gets to the top of that bend fully, he gives it a little shake, right? All right, now the last part, it's not difficult bending, but it's a little bit difficult to explain. Hopefully the tabs do it justice, but because here it is slowly. Okay, so after the first 3 notes, then you hit the 18th fret of the high E, and then when you go back to the B string to do those next 2 bends, they're pre-bends. Okay, so you're bending up the note before you hit it. All right, so all right, so that first note of those 2, you're bending up a half a step, which is a full fret equivalent, and hitting the note. So instead of hitting it at the bottom, you're bending it up half a step, which is equal to the 19th fret note. Okay, and then a full step. So, all right, and then the 18th fret of the high E, followed by another pre-bent note on the 18th fret of the B string, a half step up, and then a full step. Okay. And I've seen people tab it where they don't do the pre-bends, and instead they play like this. But I think that's wrong. The way that I did it previously is a kind of a very blues-based type of lick that, probably Clapton inspired, that Eddie would typically do. Alright, that was my video on how to play the guitar solo from Van Halen's Little Dreamer. I hope you found it helpful, informative, useful. Don't forget to click on subscribe, leave a comment, like. All that stuff means a lot to me, even though I don't make any money off my videos. Maybe someday I will. Anyway, until next time, rock on.